I think that I've now, at 63 years old, suddenly owned that it's not a bad thing to speak your mind and be who you want to be.
There was like photos with her and Prince Andrew way back in the day when she was like in her early 20s.
The sun hadn't even risen over Montecito when the news detonated online. But by 6 a.m., Meghan Markle's phone was already glowing like a furnace. Missed calls, urgent texts, rapid-fire notifications from panicked publicists, lawyers, and a PR team that suddenly sounded less like professionals and more like a crisis hotline. Because this time, it wasn't tabloids stirring up drama. It wasn't a rumor, a whisper, or a conveniently timed leak. This time, it was real footage.
But I wonder, she'd probably be funnier. No, I think I'd be funnier. And, you know, her boys are really special boys.
And the woman behind the leak? None other than Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, fiery, outspoken, and the last royal anyone expected to break the unspoken family code. But she did. And what she exposed was Meghan's worst nightmare. The footage was grainy, but unmistakable. A younger Meghan laughing, sparkling, champagne glass raised, lounged aboard a pristine white yacht off the coast of Yacht. The camera drifted briefly across the scene, designer swimwear, billionaire guests, clinking glasses, and the carefree wildness of people absolutely certain the cameras would never find them. Except now, they had. And this time, the leak didn't come from an anonymous friend or a disgruntled staffer. It came from inside the royal world, from someone who understood exactly what it meant to break protocol. Within minutes, #Fergie footage exploded across social media. Millions watched the 30-second clip bounce from TikTok to Twitter at lightning speed. Newsrooms scrambled to verify its authenticity, but the internet already knew what it believed. There she is, our Duchess of Dignity back in her yacht girl era, one post sneered. So much for privacy and principles, another wrote. Guess Fergie kept receipts.
Eye on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's former home, Frogmore Cottage.
By breakfast, Meghan's polished persona, the humanitarian, the feminist, the global advocate for truth, was collapsing in real time. This wasn't just a bad angle or a paparazzi snap. This was footage that directly contradicted the narrative she had spent years meticulously constructing. From her royal wedding, to the Oprah interview, to every speech about authenticity, transparency, and moral clarity. Now, there she was, laughing in a bikini on a billionaire's yacht. Decades-old footage reborn as a modern, high-definition scandal.
The Duke and Duchess of York were told to vacate Windsor's royal lodge. A source close to the ex-royal told People that Sarah is going to be moving out and into a separate home.
Fergie didn't accuse Meghan of anything. She didn't point fingers. She didn't even say Meghan's name. All she did was describe an era, a wild social circle she and Andrew once drifted through. A world of yachts, parties, and people who lived like consequences didn't exist. She spoke casually, almost nostalgically. And she didn't have to name Meghan. The internet did that for her in seconds. That's how fragile Meghan's brand has become. Inside their Montecito mansion, panic set in instantly. Sources say Meghan broke down the moment she saw the clip. She was shaking, one insider revealed. She couldn't believe it was real, couldn't believe that Fergie of all people had done this. And in a twisted way, it made sense. Sarah Ferguson has always been the unspoken ghost of royal scandal, the living reminder of what happens when the firm decides you're too much trouble. Once adored by the Queen, then exiled after those infamous 90s tabloid photos. Fergie knows the sting of public humiliation better than anyone alive. So why now? Why Meghan?
Epstein, and King Charles has very much been dragged into this. The King has been heckled.
Royal experts think they know. Fergie, who had stayed mostly neutral throughout the Harry, Meghan drama, was reportedly done with Meghan's subtle digs at the royal family, especially the claim that no one helped her during her early royal days. According to palace insiders, Sarah felt Meghan was rewriting history, playing the eternal victim while simultaneously cashing in on royal privilege. The footage was her way of saying, "You're not the only one with a past, darling," one royal watcher explained. By mid-morning, Meghan's team had hit DEFCON 1. Her PR chief, visibly shaken, ordered an immediate social media blackout. Lawyers rushed out cease and desist letters, but it was useless. The genie wasn't just out of the bottle had exploded. British morning shows pounced. On Good Morning Britain, one commentator smirked. Looks like the Duchess's private era had quite a few public parties. On This Morning, analysts broke down the clip frame by frame, cross-referencing timestamps with old paparazzi archives. The verdict was unanimous. The footage was real. Then came the punch no one expected. A statement from Fergie herself.
Happy Easter, sir.
Fergie's statement dropped at noon, delivered through her spokesperson, clean, sharp, and dipped in that unmistakable Ferguson bite. Everyone has a past. But when someone profits from moral superiority, honesty becomes fair game. Boom. One line. One detonation. It blasted across news cycles like a grenade. The meaning was crystal clear. Meghan, self-appointed queen of transparency and truth, had been curating her past while condemning everyone else for theirs. By lunchtime, Hollywood was whispering. Executives, agents, and producers reportedly scrambled into impromptu damage assessment meetings. Could Meghan's multi-million-dollar deals survive this? Would her polished, inspirational Duchess brand still sell? She's marketable as long as she's aspirational, one insider said. But this footage? It makes her look like everyone else, ambitious, strategic, messy. The mystique is gone. Back in Montecito, Harry was furious, but not at Fergie. He told her this is the cost of fame, claimed a source close to the Sussexes. But Meghan couldn't accept that. She felt betrayed, exposed, blindsided. The tension inside their mansion reportedly boiled over. Staff described hearing raised voices echoing through the hallways, doors slamming, Meghan pacing with her phone, frantically dictating statements and demanding her lawyers fix it immediately. Harry wanted silence. Meghan wanted war.
Sarah Ferguson publicly apologised for taking abusers' cash and vowed to cut ties with him.
Even Meghan's most loyal defenders struggled to spin this one. She's human, one PR ally told Variety. She was young. Everyone has wild moments in their 20s. Except Meghan wasn't everyone. She wasn't an influencer with a chaotic past. She was a duchess who built her entire empire on integrity, mindfulness, and moral authority. And now the internet had footage of her living like a tabloid headline. The fallout was instant and measurable. Within 24 hours, her foundation's Instagram lost over 200,000 followers. Brands began reevaluating partnerships. A major charity ambassador deal with a luxury wellness company abruptly evaporated. Meanwhile, inside Buckingham Palace, the reaction was cold, borderline amused. The institution does not forgive easily, a senior royal aide said. And Meghan has made enemies. Fergie's move may have been personal, but the timing? Brutally poetic. Insiders whispered that the palace had known about the footage for years, but followed the old royal rule. Mutually assured destruction. Everyone has secrets. Everyone has dirt. And no one pulls the pin unless they're ready for the explosion.
Hey, these jewels here.
Once Meghan began publicly attacking the firm, questioning their values, compassion, and integrity, the silent courtesy the royals had extended for years evaporated overnight. And with Fergie's footage now out in the world, the power dynamic flipped instantly. Meghan was no longer the sympathetic outsider fighting an outdated monarchy. She was the former actress with skeletons rattling so loudly even Hollywood could hear them. It's poetic, one British journalist said live on air. The woman who preached truth is being undone by it. By evening, Montecito felt like a bunker. Phones buzzed nonstop. Staff whispered. Doors stayed shut. Harry reportedly made a rare call to his father, a conversation described as frosty but civil. King Charles, ever the statesman, offered no promises. His only message, handle it quietly. Dignity always wins. The irony hit Meghan like a punch. Dignity, something she had spent years trying to embody, was now slipping through her fingers like water. As the sun dipped behind the hills, she sat alone in the garden, scrolling endless headlines. Yacht, Fergie's revenge. Duchess unfiltered. Tears pressed behind her eyes as she watched former allies stay silent. No statements. No defenses. Not a whisper in her favor. In that quiet moment, surrounded by California luxury, crisp night air, and a suffocating silence, Meghan Markle realized a brutal truth. Her past had finally caught her, and the crown she had walked away from was still powerful enough to ruin her without lifting so much as a finger. But the crisis didn't begin at night. It began before dawn. Before the sun rose over Montecito, her estate was already in full chaos mode. Publicists drafted statements. Assistants deleted posts. Lawyers were dragged into emergency calls before breakfast. Every second mattered, because the leaked clip had already racked up 5 million views in less than 12 hours. Shut it down. Call every outlet, her PR chief barked, pacing barefoot across the living room. But the truth was simple. It was already too late.
If I was talking Gen Z, I'd say slay.
The footage, grainy but unmistakably real, showed a younger Meghan laughing on a Mediterranean yacht, surrounded by faces she had once sworn she hardly knew. Music, champagne, sunlit water, and a kind of wild, careless joy that didn't match the Duchess brand she had cultivated since joining the royal family. By sunrise, #YachtDays had swallowed every trending list on social media. Meghan herself had vanished from sight. Her inner circle whispered that she'd retreated to her sanctuary, the library. Curtains drawn, lights low. She sat staring at her own reflection in a darkened window. The woman staring back wasn't the polished Duchess who challenged a monarchy. She looked cornered, wounded, exposed. The betrayal, if it was betrayal, cut deeper than anyone expected. Fergie, Sarah to those who knew her before titles and palace walls, had once been an ally. They had shared dinners, exchanged gifts, confided in each other. But now Sarah's voice echoed across podcasts, morning shows, primetime interviews, and she wasn't holding back. "I warned her," Fergie said in her tell-all conversation, her tone cool, precise, and sharp enough to slice glass. "You can't rewrite history." The truth always resurfaces, especially when you build your empire on a carefully edited past. The host leaned in, eyes glittering with scandal. "So, the footage is real?" Fergie smiled. "I'm saying the Duchess has always been a performer, even before she met the prince." The audience gasped. The clip exploded across the internet. Back in Montecito, Meghan's team watched in stunned silence as headlines hit like hammer blows. Fergie exposes Duchess's past. Royal rift deepens. Palace insiders, she's finished. Even her usually unshakable American publicist was rattled. "If we don't control this now," she warned, "they'll define her forever." That's when Meghan finally spoke. Her voice was low, steady, trembling around the edges. "Then we redefine it first." Within hours, the PR machine roared awake, 48-hour strategy drafted, exclusive interviews lined up, behind-the-scenes photos planned, and an emotional statement prepared for her lifestyle site. Every word measured, every move strategic, every angle calculated. But while her team fought the media storm, a far more dangerous battle was unfolding quietly in the background. A battle she couldn't spin. A battle she couldn't delete. A battle she might not win.
Name one thing you couldn't live without.
My passport.
Do you have a middle name?
Yes, it's Meghan. My first name is actually Rachel.
Inside Buckingham Palace, senior courtiers gathered in a private chamber where strategies had been crafted for generations. The room was quiet, heavy with velvet drapes and history, as portraits of monarchs long gone seemed to watch over the discussion. "Fergie has accomplished what we never attempted," one advisor murmured. "The Duchess's polished image is beginning to crack on its own." The royal secretary folded his hands, expression unreadable. "Then let the public observe," he replied calmly. "We need not intervene." A gentle nudge, nothing more. Across the polished table, a communications officer slid forward a folder labeled Project Restoration. Newspaper mock-ups, media trajectories, and carefully crafted messaging filled its pages. "Our approach remains unchanged," she said. "Dignity, stability, continuity." We never address the scandal directly, contrast alone will speak louder than rebuttal. And so, while the Duchess's team scrambled across California, the palace executed its quiet strategy. Within a day, the heir and his wife stepped onto the red carpet of a London charity gala, serene, poised, and effortlessly royal. Photographs of their glowing smiles under crystal chandeliers appeared beside clips of the Duchess's increasingly emotional responses. Public opinion began to tilt. She built her brand on openness, one columnist observed. Yet, she has never looked more guarded. Meanwhile, Fergie was only warming up. Her first interview had been a preview. The next was an international primetime sit-down. Seated beneath soft studio lighting, pearls shimmering, she spoke with measured calm. "The Duchess and I were close once," she said. "But when ambition rises above loyalty, you discover who people truly are." When the host pressed further, she added a final revelation, not presented as vengeance, but as principle. "I didn't share the footage to wound anyone," she claimed. "I did it for honesty." You cannot preach authenticity while hiding behind a narrative. Back in Montecito, the Duchess watched the clip alone. These tears were not staged, not polished, just quiet and raw. For the first time in years, doubt pressed in from all sides. Who remained in her corner? Her phone vibrated. A message from her husband, still abroad. "Don't respond yet. Let the storm pass." She stared at the words, voice barely a whisper. "Let it pass? She's rewriting my entire story."
But don't try and trick me now, because I'm not going to play this game. Delete that bit. John, can you
No,
just
hang on,
delete it, please, that bit? Because I don't want
That
to go
night,
down.
her team finally released the statement. It was emotional, carefully calibrated, and polished to perfection. So perfect, critics said. It felt engineered in a crisis lab. She insisted the footage was taken out of context, that it captured a private moment from long before her marriage, and that the renewed attention reflected a troubling pattern of tearing women down the moment they dare evolve. The hashtags shifted again. Hashtag stand with the Duchess. Hashtag media misogyny. But the damage had already sunk its roots. Even her loyal supporters whispered. Even allies chose silence. And in London, deep inside the cool stone halls of Belmire Palace, a single memo was placed on the Queen Regent's desk. Subject: public sentiment. Status: the Duchess is losing her narrative. Recommendation: maintain silence. The storm is consuming itself. For once, the monarchy didn't need to lift a finger. The chaos was self-inflicted. By the third morning, Meghan stopped hiding. The tears were gone. The tremble was gone. What remained was heat, raw, volatile, and unmistakably dangerous. "Enough," she said, standing before her team in the sunlit drawing room that now resembled a command center. "We're not waiting for this to blow over. We're flipping it." Her publicist blinked. Flip what, exactly? The story. What followed was something only the Duchess could engineer, half confession, half performance, half vengeance. She would film her own special. No network. No interviewer. Just her, a camera, and the truth, whatever version she chose to claim. Cameras were rushed in. A stylist smoothed her hair into soft, calculated waves. The room was stripped bare, no glamour, no jewels, just vulnerability as a weapon. She began speaking before the crew even called action. "I've made mistakes," she said, her tone trembling with curated fragility. "But women like me are never allowed to move on. Our past is always weaponized, especially by those we once trusted." Those words would hit like thunder hours later, because while she filmed her truth, a different storm was detonating across the Atlantic. A mid-level producer in London went rogue. Claiming moral duty, he leaked the metadata from the yacht footage to a Chronicle journalist. It showed timestamps, file origins, and a very familiar device ID. The footage hadn't come from old archives at all. It had been copied from Fergie's own cloud account, accidentally uploaded years earlier. Newsrooms erupted. Within hours, the Chronicle published. Exclusive. New evidence suggests Fergie was source of leaked footage. Suddenly, the public tide lurched again. Fergie's polished interviews now seemed performative. Her moral outrage looked strategic. Commentators began asking the question whispered behind closed doors. Had she leaked the footage for relevance? When her publicist warned her, Fergie reportedly went silent for a long moment before whispering, "They've turned the board. I underestimated her." Meanwhile, the Duchess's special dropped that same night, a cinematic blend of confession and defiance. Soft lighting, sparse music, emotional choreography at its finest. "I forgive," she said to the camera, "because bitterness poisons peace. But I will always defend my truth. Not as a duchess. As a woman." Manipulative? Brilliant? Both. And it worked. By morning, clips of her monologue overtook global feeds. #HerTruth surged worldwide. Celebrities posted "so powerful." Talk shows dissected her authenticity. Even tabloids that mocked her days earlier now praised her strength. But inside Belmire Palace, the Queen Regent's advisors were unmoved. "Effective, yes," one muttered, "but unstable. The more she speaks, the less royal she appears. She's gaining sympathy," another warned. "If this continues, the press will demand a palace response." The Queen's secretary shut the folder. "No, let her have her redemption arc. They burn out quickly." Yet one royal wasn't convinced. Prince Alaric, the heir's younger cousin and once a quiet supporter of the Duchess, had begun digging. He knew the cost of silence. So when an anonymous email arrived containing the metadata report and a single line, "You deserve to know who started this," he acted. That weekend, Alaric met privately with the journalist who verified the leak. The details were devastating. The file trail implicated not only Fergie but a third party, someone from the Duchess's early PR circle who had traded access for favors years ago. This wasn't betrayal. It was sabotage that began long before the current scandal. When the Duchess learned this twist, she was mid-interview on an American morning show. A producer slipped her a phone. She read the message, inhaled, and then smiled into the camera. "I think the truth," she said calmly, "always finds its way to the surface." The audience had no idea what she'd just learned. But they felt the shift. She wasn't defensive anymore. She was dangerous. An hour later, she posted a single cryptic line online. The footage came from closer than anyone thinks. Just vague enough to ignite chaos. Just sharp enough to send warnings. Fergie, blindsided, became the hunted. Talk shows dropped her. Brands paused deals. Her memoir's release was delayed. Her statement denying involvement arrived too late. The internet had picked its villain. The Duchess seized the moment. She announced a new documentary, produced by her own media company, about truth, forgiveness, and reclaiming your story. Behind palace doors, aides groaned. A documentary disguised as penance, one scoffed. But they knew something else too. She had turned near disaster into opportunity. For now. Because in this kingdom, whether royal or Hollywood, public redemption is fleeting. And private consequences never stay buried. The premiere came like a velvet storm. Floodlights ignited the Los Angeles skyline. Cameras snapped like breaking glass. Meghan stepped onto the crimson carpet wrapped in shimmering gold silk. Deliberate. Defiant. Dazzling. Her posters towered behind her. Her story. Her truth. Her power. Inside, hundreds whispered about the scandal that built the very film they were about to watch. It wasn't a confession. It was a coronation.
It looks like the skeletons are coming out of the closet for Meghan Markle, whether she likes it or not.
The opening scene silenced the theater. Slow motion waves crashed across the screen as her voice echoed above them. Every woman has a tide to fight. Even royalty can drown. When the credits rolled, the room erupted. The Duchess allowed herself a small, controlled smile. Tonight, at least, she had won. Her team exhaled as if pulled from deep water. They'd done the impossible, turned chaos into narrative, scandal into spectacle, and spectacle into art. But across the Atlantic, inside Buckingham's limestone walls, the mood was arctic. In a dim briefing room, the king watched a private cut of the documentary. 3 senior advisors sat around her, notebooks open. "It's masterful," one murmured. "Manipulative," another countered. The king nodded once. Both can be true. Then, Prepare a response. Not a statement, a gesture. By dawn, quiet orders moved through London's press office. Within 48 hours, the palace announced the Fellowship, a new program supporting young filmmakers documenting community stories across the Commonwealth. Tagline: authenticity in action. They never mentioned the Duchess. They didn't need to. The contrast hit with surgical precision, her glossy, self-authored redemption arc versus the palace's calm, civic-minded gravitas. Commentators called it a masterclass in silent rebuke. And for every headline praising her film, 2 more praised the palace's poise. In California, she noticed. She always noticed. Morning coverage turned her victory hollow. Applause faded into analysis. Pundits debated whether her raw honesty was liberation or manipulation. One commentator wrote, "The Duchess sells pain like perfume, beautifully packaged, faintly synthetic." Her husband sent a message from overseas. "Proud of you. Stay grounded." Grounded. The word stung. That afternoon, she retreated to the library, the same room where the crisis began. On the desk sat an unmarked envelope. Her assistant swore it wasn't there an hour earlier. Inside, a still image from the leaked yacht footage. And beneath it, a handwritten note. "Every crown comes with a cost. S." Her pulse kicked. The signature was unmistakable. Fergie. She wasn't hiding. She was playing her own long game. And she still held a piece of the story. Adrenaline surged through the Duchess, fear braided with excitement. She wasn't done. Neither was Fergie. Hours later, a new twist detonated. A London magazine published an anonymous exposé claiming the Duchess's documentary used footage licensed from a private royal archive without permission. The implication was brutal. She'd broken the very rules she accused others of abusing. Her legal team denied it instantly, but the whispers grew. Was this a palace counterstrike? Or another silent move from Fergie? Truth leaked slowly. A former archivist, pressured by reporters, revealed that months earlier someone with palace credentials had quietly granted the Duchess's producers access to old material, for research only. Yet that footage somehow appeared in the final cut. It hit both sides like a stray bullet. The Duchess's film now carried a hint of scandal, and the palace was accused of weaponizing internal permissions to undermine her. Both camps denied involvement. Both blamed each other in silence. By week's end, the world was right back where it began, divided, addicted, unable to look away. But beneath the noise, something fundamental shifted. One night, under the courtyard lanterns, the Duchess watched the last reporters drift from her gates. A realization settled. There was no finish line. Every triumph required a new defense. Every redemption demanded another confession. Across the ocean, the Queen Regent walked the palace gardens with Fergie, now discreetly re-emerged. Their voices were soft, but one line carried on the wind. "You both wanted to control the story," the Queen said. "You both forgot that history belongs to no one." Fergie smiled, weary but satisfied. Then let history do the editing. Weeks later, rumors spread, but not through tabloids. Among producers. Among diplomats. Among people who normally never gossiped. The Duchess had quietly stepped back from her company. She declined talk shows. She disappeared from Hollywood circles. Her travel logs leaked Geneva, Nairobi, Singapore. Private meetings with NGOs, cultural envoys, and a tech philanthropist known for global ethics campaigns. No confirmations. No denials. Just speculation. Then one image. A single paparazzi photo. The Duchess boarding a plane at dusk. No entourage. No diamonds. Just a leather bag and a determined stare. Caption: "The Duchess departs, a new beginning." Some called it exile. Others, evolution. But those who knew her story recognized the look in her eyes. The same look she wore on that fateful yacht. A woman about to rewrite the narrative again. Because in a world built on crowns and cameras, truth isn't discovered. It's manufactured, managed, mastered, until someone leaks the next chapter.